Hey everyone, Erin the Impatient Gardener here, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to call myself that anymore because today we're going to check in on the results of an experiment almost 10 months in the making. Yeah, today we are finally going to be looking in on the garlic. So here's my garlic right here, and yes, it is the middle of August and I am first now harvesting my garlic. Everything's been really slow here this year. Garlic, one of them. Normally this is a full month after I would normally harvest this. And actually, in the process of waiting for the garlic to get better, it went a little too far. So normally you want to harvest garlic when the bottom two leaves are brown and when the third one is starting to brown. And as of like a week and a half ago, we were just getting there. And then we got deluged with all this rain, and I didn't really want to harvest the garlic when the soil was so wet. It's nicer to have it be able to dry down a little bit, the soil to dry out a little bit before you harvest it. And then all of a sudden it just kind of went over. So anyway, we are here harvesting the garlic. But the reason this is an experiment is that you may have seen that last October, I did an experiment in which I did a fertilizer soak on half of the garlic that I planted. All of this garlic is the same variety. It's all the music variety, which is my favorite hardneck garlic. And I did half the bed with a fertilizer soak and half the bed without. Okay, so I talk about the fertilizer soak in that video. So the first step is to sterilize your garlic. I'm definitely going the cheap vodka route. So to make the fertilization soak, it's pretty simple. Water, a teaspoon of baking soda. I'm just going to use good old-fashioned Neptune's Harvest. Then we put the sterilized cloves in the fertilizer soak for a minimum of 30 minutes, up to a day. But basically, I divided this bed in half. And that dividing line is right about here, right down the middle. So the half on the left was the soaked half, and the half on the other side was not soaked. And I'm going to tell you right now, on first blush, I'm going to say the right half looks much better to me than the left half. In fact, we've got some empty holes down here. I obviously planted the same amount on both sides. I see some empty holes down here. The stems look thicker on the other side, but we're going to pull these out and then we're going to weigh them and see where we end up. I think I might be able to pull these up by hand without any kind of tool. I'm going to do my best to sort of shake off the soil. That is the fertilizer soaked side, so let's count them and see how many we ended up with. Okay, I have 29 heads of garlic here. Just a couple of notes on what I'm seeing first before I look at the other ones. So I would say, like, this to me is a really nice looking head. I would guess there's 1, 2, 3, there's 6 cloves of garlic in each one of these, and these are nice big cloves on music, which is why I like it. There's a lot of these, a lot of 2 clove ones, so quite small. So in terms of quality of the garlic, pretty mixed results, I think. Okay, 31 heads. Just at first glance, I would say we have more of the larger heads. I will say, I think the largest heads, well, we'll see, we'll have to go through. But I think there might be a few larger heads in the soaked ones than there were in these, but on average, these seem to be bigger to me. Let's get technical. I brought the scale. I think I'm gonna have to do this like in half, probably. 2 pounds, 7 ounces. 3 pounds, 3 ounces. So it's 5 pounds, 10 ounces for the soaked garlic. 3 pounds, 8 ounces. 5 pounds, 1 ounce. 10 pounds, 9 ounces. Roughly, the scale showed about almost twice as much with the untreated garlic. So does that mean it didn't work? I don't think we can surmise that from this very anecdotal study of what happened here. So let's talk about all the ways why this experiment is perhaps flawed. First of all, this weighing method. This is not the best way to do this. The best way to do this would be to dry down all the garlic, cut off the stems, and then weigh the finished product where you've dusted off any soil that's left on it. There's a lot of weight in those stems, so clearly the thicker the stem, and we don't really care how thick the stem is, we just care how big that bulb is. So I would say right there we've got a little bit of an issue. But there's no denying that we have more garlic bulbs with the untreated amount. And in my opinion, I think that the untreated garlic looks better in terms of uniformly larger than the untreated. Now, what could have caused that? Well, first of all, this bed is managed, like all the garden beds here in the vegetable garden, has drip irrigation running on it. And the untreated garlic happened to be at the end of the drip irrigation of that bed. So could it be that there's less water that's getting to those bulbs because it's at the end of the run? That's totally possible. It's also possible that there's other factors, like maybe there was more weeds on this end of the bed, and maybe there was more weed competition at some point during the year. I don't think there would be any issues with either fertilizer or sunlight. If anything, I would say the treated end of the bed gets more sunlight than the other bed, so that would actually weigh in favor of the treated end. And fertilizer, I was pretty careful to make sure I was fertilizing uniformly. I didn't weigh anything out, but obviously I was eyeballing everything. But to me, I was putting about the same amount of fertilizer in each end. Maybe there's other factors involved. Maybe on this end of the bed where the treated garlic was, which is near the aisle, maybe that's more, I don't know, exposed to wind in winter. Maybe that had something to do with it. Maybe I hit it walking by it or something in spring, and that disturbed that a little bit. There's so many factors there that I couldn't begin to explain them all. But I do think it's important to say, obviously this is not scientific. But I think there is one thing that for me I can say about this, which is that I don't think I saw enough benefit to the treated garlic to ever bother with that step again. It's an added step. It's one more thing you have to do. It's not that time consuming, but you do have to get a few ingredients together, rather than just tossing your garlic in the bed like you might otherwise. I would say, given what I've seen here, I wouldn't do that again. Maybe if I was really thorough, I would do it again for another couple of years and try to average out some years. Do I care enough to do that? I'm not really sure, to be honest. But it was fun to give it a shot and see what happened. So that's the results of the great fertilizer soak experiment with the garlic. In either way, I'm a winner because I got a really nice harvest of garlic out of it, which I'm very happy about. Okay, let me know in the comments if this turned out the way you thought it was going to, or if you've done your own experiments with trying this fertilizer soak concept. And as always, please like and subscribe. Thank you for following along. We will see you next time. Have a great day in your garden. Bye-bye.